All right, I recently came about talking to someone that described culture as merely the collectivity of multiple small things like a certain food or a certain way of speaking, which I found quite utterly wrong and quite disturbing and actually quite ignorant because I think it's a very narrow minded way of seeing what culture is and what its actual root source is. So what this thinking is doing is basically comparing it to a disease. Obviously, culture is a positive thing, unlike a an ailment, but it is like looking at the symptoms of a disease, looking for the cure of it, rather than looking at the disease in itself. In the sense that people that define culture as merely the manifestations of it, such as a particular type of food or certain custom that a culture adopts, they're truly missing the point of the disease itself or the culture itself, because these things don't simply pop up as a result of the environment a certain people finds themselves in. They pop up out of a collective mindset, out of a soul, out of a collection of ideas that a certain people has, a mindset that a people has, an approach to the world. And these things come about as the physical manifestation of their approach to the world, and not simply environmental reactions that these people have. Which is why we have so many different cultures in places that have similar climates or have been through similar historical events or examples through history. Because each people has their own unique mindset and their own unique worldview and spirituality, and this sort of metaphysical approach to the physical, sort of way of thinking through the reality around them, of making sense of the world. Which is why very few cultures are actually alike around the world. You can see similarities within clusters, which are usually geographically close to one another or genetically tied. But you'll never see such similarities in places which are geographically disparate or genetically disparate. Because it's simply not the same manifestation of the same people. They may have some superficial things in common, such as the way they do things or the way they build their homes traditionally, but it's not out of the same reasoning, and it's not certainly not out of the same process of seeing the physical things around them and arranging them into something coherent, something they can make sense of. Which is why I think simply looking at these things as just individual things which together collectively make a culture is completely ignorant. It's completely missing the source of them, which is this collective mindset that a people has in order to create these things. I think that this flawed understanding of the way human culture works has led to people having very unrealistic expectations of one another to conform to certain cultural norms, or to partake in certain cultural activities which don't come naturally to one's intuition or or way of thinking, which is not the most natural manifestation of one's mental state into the physical realm. So for example, one may try to pick up aspects of a different culture just superficially, doing the right thing in terms of appearance or gesture or more common mannerisms and general behavior. But these things do not make sense to their understanding of other people. And it simply feels hollow to them. It feels as if they're simply doing it for the sake of it. It does not make sense to their approach to the world, that they have to conform to these issues, which these norms have being created by another people's mind. It do not belong to them. Yet they're expected to find peace in conforming to them, which is a false assumption. It's a horrible expectation if you want to force someone to conform to someone else's culture, because it creates this unnatural and actually quite awkward way of interacting with people of that certain culture they're trying to imitate or partake in. Which is why certain people's assumption that large groups of people can assimilate into another culture just naturally after time spent with that culture is strange, and it does not make much sense, because you're asking people with a certain mindset to pick up the mannerisms of people with another mindset that people with another mindset created. It's not realistic, and it's certainly not human. Now, I'm obviously not advocating multiculturalism or anything like that. I'm just saying that this expectation of assimilation of different peoples and simply interchanging cultural aspects and cultural experiences is hollow, and it's ignorant and blind to the actual reality of the human mindset and the human approach to life, which is what creates culture in the first place. So yeah, that was quite a bit of a rant again. Thank you for listening. I'll see you later.